we've got some franchisees that actually have a big team. So I think our biggest team is 12. And we have those that actually they don't want to recruit. They're very happy building more of a lifestyle type business, and that's fine with us.
So how are you finding franchise recruitment at the moment? Cool. So we're here at the International Franchise Show here at Excel in London, and I'm joined by Felicity from the HR department. Yeah. Thank you for coming on the show.
Great to be here.
Thank you very much. So tell us a bit about the HR department, what you guys do, a bit about the franchise, etc.
Okay, so we're an outsourced HR provider for small to medium-sized businesses. We work across the UK. We've also got an operation in Ireland and Australia as well. So 64 franchisees now and growing, which is exciting. So we offer essentially anything from recruitment to redundancy and everything in between. And we've also got our sister company now, the Health and Safety Department.
Amazing. Yeah. So who typically are your franchisees? Are they people that come from a HR background? Like, is that essential for what you're looking for in a franchisee?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually look for sort of former HR directors or senior level HR directors. Typically they would have sort of a CIPD, well, they would have a CIPD qualification at like a level 7. So that's sort of equivalent to like a master's level. So yeah, that's really important to us. But also those that have got sort of experience within like the with SMEs as well, because it is very different to corporate. So that is really important. They've got kind of that exposure to those sorts of types of businesses.
Yeah, cool. So I suppose the service they're offering is very much to small businesses that don't have their own HR department. Is that
Exactly that. So essentially we say, it's a fraction of the cost of recruiting an in-house HR manager, but you've got all the benefits of, anything from, you just need to be compliant and have like a contract, anything up to sort of being more strategic and putting in place, a restructure or a retention benefits type initiatives.
So I suppose they're very active in their local business communities is a kind of key thing for them. Yeah. What's a typical day like for a HR department franchisee?
Oh wow, it could be so diverse. They work with so many different types of companies. So we've got some really interesting SMEs that we work with. Anything from gin distilleries to leek factories. We've got a company that makes coats for dogs. All sorts. So you could be dealing with any sort of HR issue. It can be, it could be more like from a positive perspective, like a benefits discussion, or it could be something, somebody's not turning up for work, and how do we deal with this? So it could be anything from,
So a lot of variety in what people are doing.
Hugely, yeah. So I think that's one of the things that our franchisees love the most, that it's just so diverse, and they never know what every day is going to look like.
Absolutely. And what kind of businesses do they build? Do they tend to be kind of solo practitioners, or do they build a team? Do they have an office? Like, how does the business kind of progress?
Yeah, good question. So it's very, very diverse across our network. So across the 64, we've got some franchisees that actually have a big team. So I think our biggest team is 12. Wow. And we have those that actually they don't want to recruit. They're very happy building more of a lifestyle type business, and that's fine with us. So it is important that we sort of support whatever their dream is. So we've got very different size businesses. Actually, recently we had a franchisee that's been with us for 18 years. So actually one of the very first franchises that we opened. And him and his wife ran it for the 18 years. We're a very successful business. And didn't want to sort of recruit anyone, but they've recently just sold their business to one of the other franchisees. So it's a great story.
Absolutely. And how do you see the future? Because I think the small business community, I suppose, is growing all the time. As a small business owner that doesn't have a HR department, I kind of understand where you guys come in, because there's always things where you just need to ask people questions, etc., and that's growing all the time. So do you see the market growing, the business opportunity growing, the interest in the franchise growing over the coming years?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, I think since COVID, really. So the kind of questions that we get from SMEs have changed just with what's going on out there. So a lot more kind of proactive questions about sort of growing their business, or like the retention side of things. So certainly from that side I can see it, and also with franchisees as well, sort of reflecting on like work-life balance and that. So I think that's certainly very much very important to our franchisees, and it really does give them that flexibility. So.
Yeah. So if someone is, how do people start the kind of journey typically? So someone's got a probably quite senior HR type role in a corporate business.
Yeah.
What tends to drive them to start looking at franchising and looking at what you guys do? Like, what is there a kind of like pattern to that at all?
It does. Again, that does vary, and I think it's perhaps a HR franchise isn't always the route that they think they're going to take, and it's typically probably a Google search, and they maybe find their local HR department in their area. That's quite a thing we've often seen, and we do also get people who are almost following our social channels from a national level, and actually then they understand that we are a franchise, and that's how they get in touch. So it can be, it's really diverse, really, in terms of the way people come to us. We've had franchisees as well that have actually thought that they quite like the name for their own consultancy, and that's how they found us. There's a couple like that as well.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, brilliant. So if there is a HR professional watching this and they're keen to talk to you guys, what's the best way to make contact?
Great. So we have our franchise recruitment coordinator, it's Bryony. So you can either find Bryony on LinkedIn, that's Bryony Clowett, or you can go to our website, which is hrdeptfranchising.co.uk. Just put a request in and we'll organise a call, initial call, just to find out a bit about you, tell you a bit more about the opportunity. Then we'd invite you to a virtual discovery day. Again, that's sort of a bit more of an in-depth summary. Then once, if you were interested to take you to the next stage, we'd invite you to our head office in Bristol. So you get to meet the founder, that's Sue Tumblety, and some of the team, and see what the operation's like there. And then you have an opportunity to talk to some of our franchisees about their experience.
So how are you finding franchise recruitment at the moment? And for you guys, I know it's slightly different because you're very, very, the profile of person you're targeting is very narrow, I suppose, compared to most franchisors. But how are you finding recruitment at the moment?
Yeah, so I think it's picked up quite a bit recently. It's we are trying a few different things at the moment. One that's working particularly well for us at the moment is LinkedIn, but job ads.
Okay.
So very, very obviously very clear that it isn't a job from the outset. That's really important. But it is about because we have a number of territories now. It's about making sure that we're able to sort of target those territories and areas that we don't have a franchisee in. So we are able to do that with LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's amazing. So are they standard LinkedIn job posts? So it's not LinkedIn advertising, it's just posting jobs out, really?
We do a bit of both. We have done a lot more LinkedIn advertising in the past, but we found that the job ads actually work really well for us, and we're obviously able then to specify the type of qualifications as well. So it's great to sort of get people through, and they send us their CV, and then we know that they're at the correct level and what their experience is.
Yeah, that's amazing. I speak to a lot, well, there's not a lot, but I have spoken to a lot of B2B franchises, and it always is a kind of dilemma, because you can be at a show like we are today, but how many people, percentage-wise, are coming here looking for a franchise would meet what you're looking for in a franchisee? So do you ever kind of venture out and do any marketing in the franchise world, or do you keep it completely focused on marketing to HR professionals, essentially? Yeah,
well, we haven't been to an event like this as like an exhibitor before, so I think exactly as you said, I don't think there would be well, there might be, we never know, but there might don't think we'd be sort of HR directors potentially even necessarily thinking that franchising is a route for them until they kind of know what we do. I think we do have to be quite, it is very sort of niche what we do, and I think we do need to keep it specific to our industry, really. But in terms of, because almost in like the franchise, from a franchise perspective, we are, you may have seen we have like a column in the Elite Franchise magazine, for example, but we're more from the perspective of the HR support side.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So our founder actually does a column in that sort of monthly. So more about how franchisors can consider HR
franchisors make a kind of perfect potential client, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So just picking up on what you said that things have picked up actually recently, and you feel. Do you think that is that kind of since COVID? Like, was it a bit of a recovery? Do you think? And because I think the general sense is actually that recruitment's still quite difficult. So it'd be interesting just to know if you think that's a kind of more people now looking at franchising, or whether that's the HR.
So I think maybe COVID actually, HR was really important in COVID. All the furlough and everything that happened during that time. I think actually HR was seen as a critical part of the business, and actually that's, I think people, perhaps small businesses, are seeing like the need for that now. So that might be why we're seeing that. But yeah, it's certainly, we've recruited, we've had 5 new franchisees start in the last 2 months.
Oh wow, brilliant.
It's exciting. And I'm very pleased to say, we've been waiting for this for a while, we can now say we're from the Scottish Highlands to Cornwall. So
yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. And actually, Scotland's often quite hard to crack as a franchisor as well.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
So
yeah, amazing. So when it comes to marketing within the franchise itself, how does that, again, B2B is actually quite hard from a marketing point of view, isn't it? Like typically a lot of the marketing activities a B2C company might not work, etc. But what are the kind of key marketing things for franchisees? And how, as a franchisor, do you support them? What's the responsibility of the franchisor and the franchisee, etc., within the HR department?
Yes, we do a lot of different, we cover a lot of different areas of marketing. So I think content is the biggest area. So we provide regular content for our franchisees. So we have a weekly blog, monthly newsletter. If anything's happening in employment law that we think it's like a news flash type thing, we'll be there writing it, and we'll be getting that out within the day. So yeah, content is a really big part of what we do. Also see like the brand consistency in terms of merchandise and print materials. We actually use a franchise specific provider for that. And then I think the website as well, just kind of making sure that's the best it can be. And we actually use your team to support us with the website, which we've been really happy with. Just that each franchisee has their own local website now, which we didn't have before, and that's made a huge difference for them from an SEO perspective. So that's been great. And there's that flexibility there. There's the element of that consistency across the websites, but also the element for our franchisees to make it their own as well, and that really that local and personal, which is really one of our USPs. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's the franchisee's kind of key role within marketing in their own business? Like it sounds like you guys have a really good control on creating lots of tools for them to use and content, etc. What day by day, what's their kind of real responsibility from a marketing point of view?
Yeah, so I think it's still about us. We're creating those tools and resources for them, but it's about them putting that into their local community and really sort of raising their profile and their personal brand. So we do a lot of support with social media training and that kind of thing to help them with that. But yeah, really that's their responsibility to kind of take those resources, and they don't have to adapt them, but we do encourage them to adapt them to make sure they're as relevant to their audience as possible.
Yeah, cool. Brilliant. So, just lastly, obviously it's very early days for the show. It's just sort of kicked off. It's looking pretty busy. Like, how are you finding it so far? What's your impressions of the show?
Yeah, well, it's looking really busy, isn't it? So, excited to go to some of the seminars today. See some really interesting franchisors. So, yeah, just interested to chat to everyone and just see what the event's all about. And who knows, next year we might consider coming as a supplier. So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, brilliant. Felicity, thank you so much for joining me. Have a good day.